Don't bring Dexter's Lab into this. I think he'll throw a fit about that.
No, I'm still like I just don't get. Well, and part of it is I don't get why people need to bring it into anime.
Yeah, that alone. It's like, okay, I get why you're on this thing, but what's that have to do with any of this?
Because it's the whole it's
reality is one big circle jerk kind of thing.
It's like people want to.
They think their opinion's important about everything.
Everyone has this whole there's a term in psychology that I learned, and I'm going to use it a lot because it's so true, called splitting. Also known as basically it's black and white thinking, where it's like,
oh yeah. If you'd have just said that, all or nothing. It's a lot of people who have disorders do that, where catastrophic thinking, where it's either this or that. There's no gray. There's no nuance. There is no other options. It's this or that. And I'm assuming you're going where I think you're going with it.
Yeah.
To where, if it can't be this way, it must be that way.
Yeah, there's no. It's like you and I, we understand the concepts like nuance, and not everything is black and white. There's more gray and air in how things actually are.
Well, yeah, I mean, holy crap. Especially in history or anything like that, very little of it is just cut and dried. Remember, it's written by the victors. So
I don't even think it's any of that, quite frankly. I think it's people get bogged down in all of this political nonsense, this socio-political nonsense, which I get is important to some people, understandably. But at the same time, then they want to bring it into every aspect of
their life,
of whatever else they do, to impose it upon other people in order to further justify it to themselves internally.
Well, right. But the thing is the people on the outside largely don't care, because that's a personal hang up.
But for some reason, the whole media critique center.
The center. Make it sound like the Ministry of Culture. The center. The core.
Is it the Ministry of Gundam?
Yeah, no. That actually sounds like it would be cool.
the
Ministry of Gundam. It's just like a non-elected body of people that have acquired a fuck ton of Gundam knowledge, and they basically are the authorities on it. Sort of like a living encyclopedia or some shit.
Yeah, keep going on your point, VZ, because it sounded interesting.
Sure.
Talking about the whole media critique thing.
Yeah, there's this whole, for some reason, the media critique, the people that are, of the media critique are of this whole mindset right now that you're seeing, and anyone that deviates from it is I don't know. I don't see the other opinion. I don't see the other side.
Well, it's because if anyone else tries to do anything different, they get shouted down by the media critique community.
Or
because all those people are trying to justify their own personal hangups and their own perspectives and whatnot, through big upping each other in each other's mindsets.
And they get
that's why you don't see any. That's why you can't name for me a single big name anime critic who actually likes ecchi.
That's what I was just gonna get at. It's
and the thing is if you argue with them, you're accused of things like whataboutism. You're accused of just asking questions. Just all this other.
You're accused of arguing in bad faith, which I wish I knew about that argument back when I was doing Task Force MOE, because that would have made things a whole lot easier for me. Oh, you're all this Moe stuff is harmful and whatnot. Oh, you're just arguing in bad faith. I'm suddenly absolved of having to have a real point because I can just say people are arguing in bad faith.
But would you really like to be that guy who uses that as an out?
No, because I have a point to make, and because I can actually justify and back up what I'm saying. And if I
That's my
can't,
point.
then if I can't, then I'm willing to change around my thought pattern in order to be correct.
I think we should get started
I don't know. The
All
whole
right.
thing,
before we get. We're not even technically running, and outside of this pre-game show sort of.
Stand by. Let me get some of this lemonade.
I don't know why that cracked me up. I didn't laugh, but I'm smirking over here.
Because it's Anubis getting angry and then stopping to have some lemonade.
Well, no. It's just like I need my calm down juice.
By the way, how did you finish Kanagi yet? Anubis?
Not yet. Okay, ready to begin in 3, 2. Welcome to NTR Radio. I'm Tom Forrest Nubis.
I'm K-Gods.
And I'm VZ Mark II.
And at least for me, it's been a little while now.
Yeah. Back at full strength.
Yeah. Lot of stuff went down. Colds, home repair,
tooth extraction,
propane. No.
So before we get too into the weeds, I'm going to tell everyone how to get involved with the show. So here's what you do. You go to ntrradio.net, click the chat button. That'll bring you to the chat page. Give yourself a nickname and hit the button. Join us in the IRC channel. Alternatively, hit up your favorite IRC client, point it at irc.ryzen.net, and join us in the # or # SLC media channel. In addition, you can get at us on Twitter at TAnubis, at VZMK2, at Immortal_KGods, at NTR Radio. And as always, the email box to get involved with the show via email is ntrradio@gmail.com. So I bought some stuff yesterday.
Oh, cool.
I sell anime and anime accessories.
I sell anime and
anime accessories.
I sell half-naked anime figures and half-naked anime girl figure accessories.
Okay.
Like and archival gloves.
All right, you sure?
I got two pieces here, one DVD and one Blu-ray. The first I got was You're Under Arrest motion picture, the old ADV release.
I've never seen that show, but it would be something I would probably like.
It's really good. I've watched quite a bit of. I watched the OVA and quite a bit of the TV series, and it's really good.
It's one of those shows that it's one of those ones you would call just really fun.
What should I start with when it comes to that?
Start with the OVA because that kind of leads into the TV series.
Okay. Oh, so more or less kind of like Pat Labor in a way.
Yeah. Well, watch it in the order it came out.
Yeah.
So, and the other one I got is No Game, No Life 0 on Blu-ray.
Oh, okay, cool. I actually saw that in the theater. I think I've mentioned it before.
Yeah.
Yep. I haven't seen it, so I bought it sight unseen. But everyone whose opinion I trust tells me it's great. So
yeah, it's pretty fun. If you like the actual show, I don't see how you can really do wrong there.
I got stuff too. Okay. In the not a surprise at all. I have finally finished my beat.
Hey.
All right. And as I said on Twitter, unless it's something that I really asked me something I really like, I think I'm like done with Figma for a long time. Okay. Because I've been collecting Figma for like 10 years.
Jesus.
So, yeah, since 2008. So, I mean, of course, there was stuff that I skipped, but I'm just saying it's I kind of want to basically now it's like just Nendoroids and a certain robot Damashi. And the other thing I got is something both of you guys would like. RGM-79, the Cold Districts version. That's...
So if I'm not mistaken, that's the one that you saw in the beginning of 0080 when they were in Antarctica.
That's exactly what it is.
So I don't have anything to share in terms of items, unfortunately, but I have been watching this season.
Hey, I haven't. Have not kept up with it.
Let's hear from you first, because we you've been kind of out for a while, so
yeah.
Let's hear.
So the three main things I chose to watch this season, I like all of them, which is rare. And none of them I don't think are ever going to enter what we think of as anime canon, but I do think they're entertaining. They are the new Senran Kagura, because I mean, I've seen the first one. Why wouldn't I watch this one?
Yep.
I mean,
Watching that is...
and that's what you see is what you get. It's shameless to the point, you know.
But would you agree with me with one aspect?
What's that?
That the original one had better animation.
Maybe it's been a while since I've seen it, but one of the things I did notice is that there's a certain darker element to this one, and I don't even mean in the plot. I mean it feels like the color palette they uses is like more muted and dark somehow.
You could be right. I might have to look like,
and it's done by a different studio.
Yeah, that's definite. The studio that did the first one isn't even they're not there anymore.
Was it Silverlink? I can't remember who did this one.
The original one or the new one?
The new one.
No, the new one is...
I can't remember who did it.
I forgot either.
Okay, well, whatever. In any case, I'm watching it for the obvious reasons. So, I mean, I'm not going to make any bullshit justifications. It's very obvious why I'm watching that one. And it has delivered so far. It's been pretty entertaining. And we also get to see some of the other ninjas we didn't get to see in the first one.
Yeah.
So, you know, who doesn't like Riona?
Yeah.
Heterochromia eyes, a complete nympho and masochist. Good stuff.
And including my favorite, Minori.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The other one is, again, this one's doing pretty well with everybody. SSSS Gridman.
Yes, that's also. But I want your opinion on it, because.
Oh, it's been fun. It's, the writing is pretty much what you would expect for a show like that. It's not particularly super well thought out, in my opinion. It's just kind of like.
Meant to be. It's
not no. It's like, do you like old shows like Go Lion, you know?
Yeah.
And stuff like that, or yeah, exactly, or monster movies and shit.
Modern fan service aspects.
Or did you or even you could even pop off and say, hey, did you like Pacific Rim? Because that in of itself was inspired by Evangelion and stuff like that.
Right.
And Evangelion, of course, was inspired by the old version of that.
Yep.
So it's almost like coming full circle in a way.
But it is annoying people like comparing this show to Evangelion, and I get it. It's Trigger, you know, which people from Gainax, but
it's not even that. It's missing the point that this IP technically existed before it.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
And no, it did. It's the other way around. It's that would be like saying Devilman is inspired by Evangelion. It's like, no,
that's just how you can be able to pick out, anime commentators who don't actually know anything about anime,
or at least
or who don't know how to use Google.
Most important question though, K-Gods.
Okay.
Most important question: Akane or Rika?
I like Rika more.
Okay. I like Akane more.
I should point out that I've only seen 3 episodes of each of these 3 so far. I'm a little behind.
Oh.
So that could change, but as of now.
But she's psycho. So it's
since when has that stopped anyone from
liking a
character?
There is a crazy ton of fan art going on for this show right now.
Oh yeah,
I'm on Twitter.
No shit. I mean, it's everywhere.
This is like the new. I don't know. Give me something that had a crazy amount of fan art as it was coming out.
Hestia. Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
Yeah, there you go.
And no, it's not. I love that the name of that show is a question. Don't you just like that? That's odd. But as for the show, it's fun. If you like monster movies, like Godzilla movies and shit like that, or
you don't have
anything like that
either, right? Because it's actually not bothersome to me either.
Well, the thing about Gridman, to me, that put it this way, it's everything I liked as a kid. Yeah. I mean, plus thighs.
Also,
just to grab the attention of the adults too, I guess.
Yeah. Also, a lot of Transformer references.
Yeah, I noticed some of those too. Yeah. Besides that, and the other one, of course, is the very controversial and almost comically so, Goblin Slayer.
Yes, that one. Unfortunately, I'm not watching.
It's the description. I mean, it does kind of put it in Berserk territory, although I think Berserk is a lot worse. In many
it's funny.
ways.
I saw it somewhere. I don't know what.
When I say worse, I don't mean as in bad. I mean in terms of the things they're bitching about.
Right.
Someone's calling it the darkest anime ever, and I'm like,
did you join up like a year ago?
You just got here, didn't you?
Like that's not even kind of true. That's not even true within the last 10 years. Come on. Yeah, that just screams noob. Or only watches what Toonami plays. And even then, it's like Akame Got Killed was on there, and that's pretty gory and dark. Anyway, as for what I think about it, it's pretty fun. It takes that sort of JRPG sort of thing that you see in shows like Slayers or Record of Lodoss War or anything like that, but it, of course, infuses it with that whole Berserk, gritty sort of this is what really happens when inexperienced people go out and try to deal with this shit. And I suppose people are I haven't heard anybody make this complaint directly yet, but I'm assuming it's out there. It's like, oh, we don't like that it's using the whole cute moe look to it, juxtaposed with how horrible this shit is going on.
Oh.
Well, too bad for them.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously so. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm curious where it's going to go. I mean, the main character, the thing is nobody has a name. Their names are basically what they look like, their class, or their occupation.
Yep.
Oh, so basically like cells at work.
Sort of. Yeah, I guess you could look at it that way, but it's like main character, Goblin Slayer. That's his name. The girl is just white mage or a priestess or cleric or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I've only seen the 3rd episode thus far, but like the newly inspired elf and dwarf are just that. The elf and the dwarf. I mean, assuming there's not more than that in the actual show. It almost makes it sound like there's only one of each of that particular race in the entire thing, which is kind of funny. And the dwarf keeps calling her long ears, which is sort of funny since that used to be something people refer to Bugs Bunny with or something like that. But the show itself is pretty fun. It goes. The thing is that first episode is a lot nastier than the previous 2, or than the 2 following 2 rather.
Yeah.
So it is sort of just a shock to the system sort of episode in a way, because it hasn't ever really gotten quite that bad again.
It's called the Pleb Filter.
Yeah, I like that. The pleb filter. That's a good one. Runs like an aqueduct. Oh,
See, you scare the normies away early on.
except they didn't get scared away. They wanted it taken down.
Yeah.
Which was actually more annoying. There needs to be a thing at the front of this, like those Law and Order episodes. The content or those World War II historical footage things where it says, the following material may be,
Well, guess what? Crunchyroll did.
I forgot you had that.
Guess what Crunchyroll did now for that show?
Oh, I'm sure it's got a trigger warning.
I know they upped it to TV 14, which I don't.
Yeah, but
I think might be a little bit not quite appropriate. But go ahead.
No, but they have like I haven't downloaded the show, but they have a message now, like in the beginning, like this might be basically like a trigger warning.
Oh yeah. Well, quite frankly, that's what they should have done in the first place.
Yeah, but they don't really know the stuff that they get in the beginning. They're just like,
well, they should. Why don't they? What?
That's
my name's Crunchyroll. I'm just gonna put a whole bunch of crap up on my streaming service without even knowing what's in it, not even knowing what it is, not without even quite knowing. Now I don't know if they know if the anime episode is correct before they put it up. I don't know if they know if it's even the proper anime before they put it up. I don't know. Now it calls into question how extensive the review process is before putting an anime up. That they had TV PG originally for Goblin Slayer, funny. And then upped it to TV 14 with a content warning after people told them.
Yeah, if these people were running a factory, that factory would be closing.
Well, really, just saying, it would have been closed after that whole thing with the bit rate that turned out to be a mistake. But what happens?
So,
that's what happens when I ain't watch shit.
What happens at Crunchyroll stays at Crunchyroll.
Actually, I did watch something. I watched the first episode of Release the Spice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because
is your favorite Paprika?
I couldn't get into that too much, but I didn't. It just didn't sustain itself the way the other stuff did. But go ahead. What's your?
It looks interesting. I'm definitely gonna give it a good couple more episodes before I decide if I'm gonna keep with it all season or just wait until the season's over. But yeah, it definitely looks interesting. I'm definitely gonna check it out.
All right. Well, you know what you guys should be checking out? Besides SS Gridman and Seren Kagura, what are the other ones? Miss Vampire Who Lives in My Neighborhood.
So we're talking about an annoying school teacher?
No,
that was a reference. That flew way over my head.
Yeah.
No. Like
This has Miss in it. Yeah, no.
Old ass, Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, did you like Kinero Mosaic?
I was okay on it.
I watched like the first episode and that was it.
All right, it's the same studio, so it has the same feel. Basically, replace English Girl with Vampire. A lot of great jokes with it. Again, like just about like various aspects of vampire lore, but with like a moe, yashike aspect to it.
I was gonna say, is there a girl named Garlic?
There's no, but they were one of the one of the human girls and the main vampire girl were cooking, and then at one point, the curry they were making called for garlic, and the vampire girl had to. Which, by the way, she has the best name, Sophie Twilight.
Wow.
So she had to like step back and then put a hazmat suit to do the rest.
That actually is pretty funny.
And then
Biohazard.
One of the other girls the other vampire girl was doing makeup, but the thing is, vampires don't see their reflection in the mirror, so it was all like messed up.
Just it's like that Simpsons. Did they look like the Simpsons episode where Homer created the makeup gun?
I was thinking that.
Where he just like blasts Marge in the face with it, like poof, and it's
got it set on horn.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm watching is there's several. Anima Yell, which is the cheerleading one,
mm-hmm.
and I'm enjoying that too. I wanted it to be like 5 out of 5 based on the concept. It only goes as far as like a 4 out of 5.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where you really like the concept of the show, but it only reaches at a certain level.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was why I was so upset with Infinite Stratos. So I really liked the concept, but it fell way short.
Greater expectations.
But it's clearly the B show this season for Doga Kobo, because the A show for Doga Kobo is Uchi Made. And that show, you said on your Twitter, right? Like, Seven Kagura is Shameless. No, this is the Shameless show this season.
Yeah, but it's but in this case, it's the Shameless. Ugh, I can't fucking talk. Yeah, fucking phlegm. It's shameless in the sense that, yeah, but that one's shameless in a way that creeps people out.
That's why it's shameless, and it's so obvious. So, where again the
like did like that's one of those.
Well, it's like VZ, you were talking about the pleb filter earlier.
Yeah,
that's pleb filter, the animated series.
Well, no, I mean, like, you don't even have to watch it. You can just read the freaking synopsis, and people start scattering.
Well, yes, pleb filter, the animated series.
There's no ambiguity. The maid girl just totally wants that Russian bully.
Well, wasn't it Astrate's toy that was the pleb filter of yore?
Yeah. I remember everyone being real
upset about that.
On the
for
lead
5
up,
minutes.
On the lead up, and then for 5 minutes after the first episode aired, then nobody talked about it except people who liked it.
That was Kiss Sis, the TV series. That was also the pleb filter.
Yep.
Well, yeah, but that one also had its counterpart. How was that released? An ONA or something like that?
Yeah. There was the ONA, and then the TV series came out.
I think, or was it actually that, or did it come with like manga or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a pack-in with the manga releases.
That's why we'll never get it.
Not the ONA.
Nah.
If they do, there would only be the TV series.
Yeah, which is still good. Don't get me wrong. It's still fun for what it is. The thing is about shows like that, I'm not the guy who likes the middling ones. I like the ones that just completely don't give a fuck and go out of their way with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I figure if you're going to do that, don't go halfway or dip your toes in. Fucking dive in.
Some people been complaining about, like, oh, they took away some of the nudity that the manga had for this. I'm talking about Uzi Made. And you know what? It's you know what? It's still shameless.
I was gonna say, I don't think the people that are bitching care.
Geist in the chat says, the normie test. Pretty much, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The pleb filter.
Yeah, like if your first instinct when you see something like that is to panic and think, oh no, what age are those drawings? Yeah. I mean that's just such an arbitrary, nonsensical thing.
Yeah, that's an I can't help you moment.
No,
it really is.
You know what? Can't help you.
Is only something for me, and even then, that's marginal at best. That's the Idolmaster Side-N shorts that they're doing, which is it's all right for what it is. It's not Cinderella crack though.
Cinderella crack. I like that. Maybe they should come up with a more specific term for it, like the glass slipper.
Oh, the glass. Glass, like meth. There you go.
That was sort of kind of what I was joking about, but yeah. Yeah. The thing is, I've got a bunch of my favorite thing to witness between warring fan bases is Love Livers and Idolmaster people. That shit
I don't get why that's the thing.
But it's entertaining. It really is, because it's like it almost reminds me of when I was younger and they had the Genesis SNES wars.
Yeah.
See, it really I get why that was a thing.
Oh, I do too.
Your mom could only buy one of them for you,
unless you were that rich kid who had fucking every one of them.
You get artificial brand loyalty based on the fact that you can only afford one console. But like you can have both now. You can have Idolmaster and Love Live now. There's
I know.
Nothing stopping you.
Besides,
if Idolmaster and Love Live ever went to war, Idolmaster would win because they have Bandai on their side, and Bandai makes Ace Combat planes based on the Idolmaster girls. So each girl has a jet fighter.
Technically, Bandai has both. Bandai owns both.
So everyone wins. So why are we fighting?
But it is entertaining because it's like it reminds me so much of that, in the sense that I'll listen to both of them trash talking each other, and I'm just like, what the fuck are you two on about?
Scorpio Guy says in the chat, I mean, isn't that sort of like Macross and Gundam? Unfortunately, no, because as you know, yes, Macross is popular and had various sequels, but it's nowhere
near the like Megalith.
Yeah.
And he mentions Kirk versus Picard. Picard was the better commanding officer, but Kirk got more tail. So it depends on your measurement criteria.
That's fantastic. Well, it also depends on how you feel about Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Myself, I'm a fan. So
100% down with that. Let's go.
Then again, I like that sort of way of pronouncing that he does, you know, his enunciation and all that.
He's just always super composed all the time. Like,
I laughed when I read this thing. I think it was like Seth MacFarlane or somebody, because he does the voice of the CIA directive on American Dad.
Yep.
He's Bullock. And I remember hearing him talk about how he was a really big fan of Beavis and Butthead. And I just got this hilarious mental image in my head of him going, yeah, I love that cartoon. That's Beavis and Butthead. It's a jolly good time.
Yeah.
My horrendous attempt at emulating his voice. I mean, but the thing is, I could see that because he seems like that kind of personality type who would like something like that. I mean, if you really thought about it. Anyway.
But yeah, I don't get the Idolmaster Love Live feud. We can have both. I don't know why we don't have both.
It happens though. I mean, I've seen it firsthand between two people. It's
like modern day console wars where you have real brand loyalty with the PS4, even though the Xbox One also gets 90% of the games you have.
Well, right. Well, that's another thing that was different back then from now, though, is exclusive titles were a lot bigger of a thing then.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying the modern day console wars are a farce, and it's that's the comparison I'm making with the Idolmaster Love Live dumbass brigade, with the dumbass battle between those two equally valid franchises. I
think one of the other big things with that, considering it's idol stuff, is it's the songs too.
Well, yeah, I get it. I fully understand why one would like one and not like the other. My concern is why do people feel the need to like one and then shit on the other? I don't get why people have the time. It's like that series of tweets I did a while back. You're not being fair to what you like by doing that, quite frankly. I think that's by focusing any degree of your attention on some shit you hate. You're not being fair to the stuff you like. You're fundamentally not doing justice to what you like by doing that.
I think that's a personality type.
Well, they need to knock it the fuck off because it's getting out of hand for some degrees for some elements.
Look, what we need is to take that meme, the meme of Arnold Schwarzenegger and
yeah, and crap, Danny Glover? No, was it him?
No,
not Danny Glover. I can't think of his name. I can see him plain as day in my head.
Anyway, yeah, the meme where
it's from Predator.
Yeah. What? Okay,
Carl Weathers.
So one is Idolmaster. The other one will be Love Live, and they're shaking hands together, agreeing that that Wake Up Girl sucks.
Sucks. Yeah. I was just thinking that. I'm surprised somebody hasn't made that yet.
See, that's what we need, a common enemy. Yamakan.
Yeah.
Oh, listen. We're going to get to this from now. Okay?
Good old Yamakan. And by good, I mean bad.
All right.
He's got to be the most full of shit to a good ratio director in all of anime.
It's like I said, he lives with his foot in his mouth. When's the last time Yamakan's ever said something intelligent?
I don't think I've ever heard anything intelligent specifically come out of it.
Exactly.
I don't know. All I know is that he got banned from Twitter.
Which is kind of funny in the sense that, again, he's a big mouth.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to keep his mouth shut when he has stupid shit to say.
Here's the funny thing. How the fuck did he get banned from Twitter, but fucking people from Konami are still there? It was some of the shit they pop off with.
I don't know, man.
He must have said something specific.
I guess the people who run Twitter saw, what was that, Fractale? And we're like, we need to get this guy the fuck up out of here.
I forgot what there was.
They're the people who actually watch Wake Up Girls and were pumped for it.
I can actually tell you what Yamakan got kicked off for.
This should be good.
Oh yeah, I'm listening.
Let me see. Yeah, director.
Watch it actually be Wake Up Girls. That'll be
promoting hate speech.
Realistically,
director Yamakan's Twitter account suspended for abusive, threatening, discriminatory behavior. Both his personal Twitter account and that of his Twilight Studio have been suspended. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yamakan can't keep his mouth shut.
Let's see. The tweeting question: Yamakan called Saito a true idiot. There's a negative influence on a music festival. So basically, he just was like, yeah.
Well, holy shit, I say worse things than that on the daily. What the hell? How the hell am I still on there? And I'm far less known.
That's probably why.
Yeah, it is. But still, no. But I see people say stuff with fucking 100,000 followers and say stuff like that regularly.
Yeah, well, okay. Here's my conspiracy theory. The people who run Twitter were really pumped for Wake Up Girls and were highly disappointed and were waiting for an opportunity to exact the retribution upon Yamakan.
Jack's
only way they can, by banning him from Twitter.
Jack's retribution on Yamakan.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I had hope for Wake Up Girls, man.
All right. Okay. So the person he was criticizing was Koji Saito, general producer of the Animelo Summer Live Anime Music Festival. The concert was held, and tweeting question, called him an idiot, and the negative influence on the music festival. Okay.
What a milquetoast thing to suspend someone from Twitter over.
Like, holy crap. I mean, I think everybody here is...
That's like if you...
everybody listening to the show has said something worse than that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry. That's like if you rolled up on someone and said, "You, sir, are a charlatan and a fraud, and he shot you for that.
Or you got put in freaking the barracks or something for it.
The police rolled up on you and put you in the stockade.
They jam you in a thing that they drive around in a rickshaw.
Wait, there's more. Wait.
You get drawn and quartered.
Hold on. Yamakan.
I guess this would count as Let's News, but I'm sure this is like months ago.
Yeah, it was from August, but there's a follow-up. So
we'll pretend. No.
No.
We'll pretend I did the news drop in.
Wait. You know, like in that what was it? Unsolved Mysteries. They always had to come back with update.
Oh yeah,
like it's like somebody being found or caught or something.
All right. Well, let me do the Let's News drop in then.
Let's News working to restore power.
I forgot I didn't ask when the update came, so this might still be months ago.
Well, hold on. Yeah, update was in August 30, but hold on.
Okay, so that was months ago.
Wait. Yamakan made many inflammatory comments on Twitter in the past. Recently, he gained attention for blaming the otaku and China for the cancellation of New Life Plus Young Again in Another World anime. Yamakan tweeted about his separation from Wake Up Girls on apparently poor terms in 2017. Now, wait, to go on to, 2 days later, director... Oh, no, okay, that was the follow-up. What I just said.
Okay, so number one, it's two things. Number one, yes, I guarantee you the split from the Wake Up Girls team was on bad terms. Here's how it went.
You think?
So here's the Wake Up Girls team. Yamakan, you're kind of a shitty director, and you made a pretty bad anime, and nobody likes it. Then Yamakan, you know that noise that you make when you run your hand across saran wrap? That really Yamakan made that noise and then ran out of the studio.
Oh wait,
so that's thing one. Thing two is, what kind of non sequitur is I'm gonna blame the cancellation of this thing on otaku and China. So that's how you know Yamakan's a racist, because nobody makes that connection ever.
Oh, because wasn't there some, like, I remember some stuff that happened with that. It was like, he said, I forgot if he said something right-winged or someone else said some, or...
I don't know. All I know is that he had a completely non sequitur list of people to blame for that, which tells me that he's probably to blame for it, quite frankly.
Look, this is basically his equivalent of the Howard Dean noise.
Oh, I don't get how that ruined his career.
But it did.
I don't. Oh, okay. So you can't be enthusiastic about going to South Dakota and New Hampshire and Washington and Michigan and Michigan. I should get that noise for the drop-in time.
I completely understand what you mean, but it did sink him like a fucking stone.
I don't get it. Well, here's the thing, and here's how Howard Dean really wins. I don't know anything about his politics. I don't know anything about his policies, but I remember who he is.
That's true. Like you can name, like, you could run your mouth off about like 50 people and I won't know who the fuck they are.
Yeah, but I know who
Hold on,
Howard
I got
Dean
a little
is.
bit more.
And then we'll hit up the break.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yep.
Yeah, let's see. Yama explained that even if his suspension of his Twilight account is Twilight Studio account is lifted, he no longer plans to use the account. Instead, the company will post on its Facebook page. Likewise, he won't use his personal account, even if it's lifted. Yamakan criticized Twitter in his blog post, describing the social media platform's action as kind of a witch hunt, or as an impression of freedom of speech. He said, basically, there's no point in yielding to a platform that's dangerous and careless. He also described the situation as a good opportunity to leave Twitter. But I'm still trying to find the thing.
AKA he fucked up.
Yeah, translation. I ran my mouth and now I'm getting repercussions for it. So as a result, I'm gonna I'm gonna I'm taking my company's correspondences to Facebook, which is a curious move. And
Especially since you're complaining about freedom of speech and being blocked and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I found a whole bunch about the cancellation of New Life Plus. Following the original author's discriminatory remarks against China and Korea, I'm mad at the cancellation, he said, and now it would all it take is one blow to destroy anime. Yamakan says he thinks
What?
otaku are to blame for ruining anime when the cancellation of Buki tweeted the day otaku ruined anime. Is that like
okay? So well,
like
hang
the
on.
whole gamers? You don't need to call yourself a gamer anymore, or gamers are dead or something.
That's it's basically the same idea.
So, what did I?
Oh, we got a great comment. Guys, we got a great comment here. True, but he had the Ric Flair woo kind of thing going.
I'm saying Howard Dean, dog. Again, I might disagree with him on every single political point, but I remember the man's name, and I remember how pumped he was for going to Michigan. And Michigan!
Yamakan also said he wants to go to China and have a talk with people there, but was quick to try to clarify the statement. Honestly, I have resentment.
Yeah, you go do that.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
He claimed he got into an argument with a Chinese extremist and ended up banned from entering China, but at the same time, there's lots of people. This guy just can't.
This guy is a series of him running his mouth and getting repercussions exacted upon him for it, and then trying to walk that back because he got repercussions exacted upon him. And as far as otaku and China, apparently, I guess, ruining the anime industry. So I've got the anime industry report for 2017 up. Trends in Japanese animation market 2016. So in 2016, the market was valued at 2 trillion yen. The first time it's been up that high, and it's been on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is its 7th year of growth. So Yamakan lives with his foot in his mouth. He bounces up and down on one leg constantly because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not particularly talented at doing his own stuff, never really has been, and constantly can't take criticism for that, and constantly blames other people for his failures. And it's a series of him. It's like a series of him basically tumbling down the stairs over saying some brainless bullcrap and saying some brainless bullcrap, getting repercussions exacted upon him for that, and then trying to walk it back when he can't really, because it was his decision to say some stupid crap, and he needs to go back to adapting manga and light novels.
Yeah, one more thing, and then break.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, he said in 2016 he declared moe as fascist and anime is dead.
Which is funny because that's the year it broke 2 trillion yen. So Yamakan, maybe you should hang it up. Maybe it's time to take a break before you say something that could actually get you in some serious trouble.
What's the Hollywood director equivalent of him before we?
I don't know, because I don't follow movies.
These days, no. But that just reminds me of something that we all need to kind of step back and realize. Anime World Order and Yamakan are on the same page about something.
Oh, the whole
Moe is fascistic.
Yeah.
They're on the same page about being on a decade-long crusade against Moe? A really embarrassing crusade against Moe?
I got not one, but he got fired from 2 studios.
And he's notorious for saying dumb shit.
And what went on to? Didn't he go on to make his own studio that hasn't made a good thing ever?
That's the one. That's the second one that he got fired.
So he got fired from the studio he started.
Yeah. Wait.
Wait.
When you get fired from the thing you started, maybe it's you. Maybe it's you. I'm just saying. Hey, maybe it's not you. Maybe it's something. Maybe it's the same cosmic forces that keep ruining NTR Radio. Maybe they're out to get you too. But all I'm saying is, if you got fired from the business you started, maybe the problem is
by
with
your own constituents,
not with anyone else, not with the otaku that you keep shitting on, even though you depend on them for the success of your products, not with China, who you seem to really hate for some reason, not with Moe, which is basically sustained the industry you're in for the past decade plus. But somehow for some reason, you seem to hate it, even though you keep making shows with cute girls in them. Not with any of these people. Maybe it's you. I also find it hilarious how Yamakan, because I remember this a while ago. I remember we talked about this a while ago. Yamakan's out here hobnobbing with Okada from former Gainax. Yeah. Okada from former Gainax, a person who hasn't contributed anything to this industry.
The guy called Oda King, the original Oda
King.
Who
used to be called Oda King, yes. Someone who hasn't contributed to this industry in like a couple decades almost, but still feels the need to commentate on it constantly. And quite frankly, I respect Yamakan that's a tiny bit more than Okada, because Yamakan is actually still active in the industry and still trying, regardless of the fact that he lives his life with his right foot in his mouth and his left foot bouncing around up and down on the floor so he can actually mobilize himself.
He's playing Twister with only himself, you know.
I'm about to start calling Yamakan Pogo Stick, because that's what he looks like. We're up against the break. Keep it right here on NTR Radio.
Yes. This episode will be called The Life and Times of Yamakan.
Got no respect for that guy. Zero respect.
Yeah. Well, again, we'll get into this when we talk about Kanagi.
Hey, maybe don't run your mouth all the time. Maybe running your mouth all the time is a choice.
It's the perfect example of like talking about what his strengths were as a director and why he should have just stuck with shows like that, stuff like that.
But he's got a savior complex though.
He's got a fucking big head.
He's like, I'm gonna save anime. Yeah,
and
sure.
I mean that. I mean that in the most insulting way possible. I don't like the guy. He keeps running his mouth, and what's the last good thing he made? What's the last positive contribution he's made to this industry?
Miyakawa Family's Hunger.
There you go. That was an adaptation, was it not?
Yes.
Hey, maybe stick to adaptations. Maybe stick to what you're good at. Maybe you stick to what feedback will. Maybe stick to what will garner positive feedback from people who give you money in exchange for your product. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just in business. I'm just a business dude.
Here's the thing. As much as I love, even though I like, what he did for Kanagi, even he couldn't even refrain, basically his personality from that show. Because there was one scene in episode 10 where the main character walks into the wrong room because they were in a karaoke bar. And what is he? And he finds the cast of Lucky Star. Which is I
thought that was hilarious, actually.
Yeah, that's basically his like. See, I got fired from Kiwani. It's like, yes.
There's a reason you got fired about.
Like, oh hey, I used to work at Kiwani and no longer because I got fired. Maybe don't brag about that. Maybe talk about that in hushed tones with people you trust, not to go out there screaming about the fact that you got fired from Kiwani.
That's like saying you got
fired from Orbit.
The studio he created.
That's like saying you got fired from a security company.
All right, I'll be right back.
Hi, my name's Yamakan.
I got
My claim to fame is that I got fired from the studio I made.
everybody else on the board just got tired of my shit and ousted me.
I was
Assuming that's
too
how it happened.
I was too unbearable for a team of people that I organized.
That yeah. Like, you know how you'll hear that, the supervisor's a prick or whatever? This is like that on roids, man. Okay, I'm going to use this break for a moment.
Solid copy.
Yeah.
Okay, this is hilarious. Anime director Yamakan apologizes for disabled otaku comment, posting that in the IRC. Yamakan said in his apology that he was wrong to compare otaku to people with disabilities. He emphasized in his apology that it was thoughtless of him to draw a comparison to people with disabilities. Yamakan said he will deeply reflect on his actions. Apparently, he has failed to do that because this was a year ago. Online commenters pointed out that if otaku disappeared, the audience for Yamakan's own anime would also be gone. While some people appreciated Yamamoto's apology, they called into question whether the apology was genuine. Some net users believe that Yamamoto's explanation did not go far enough, and referencing animals was also inappropriate. Yeah, Scorpiogast, I remember hearing something about that. Let me see if I can find an article on that. Okay, here's one. Shortly after his firing, people speculated he was fired for sexual harassment instead, especially after an anonymous person claiming to be staff boasted that he had stalked her several times. Nothing was directly confirmed, but his behavior after getting fired didn't help this either. During production for Wake Up Girls, he harassed the female seiyuu, who were of high school age at the time, to the point where she had to tell him to cut it out. He's also criticized the Me Too movement, claiming he would proudly continue to tease and harass women. So yeah, Yamakan's a disgusting person, independent of not being able to stop running his mouth. He's also apparently a pretty vile person other than that.
I'm back.
Welcome back, hey gods. If you look in the IRC, I actually found a couple more Yamakanisms.
Anime.stack exchange.
Yep. So it's because Scorpio guys commented on him being a sexual harasser, and I was looking for that, and apparently I found something. Apparently he was sexually harassing the Wake Up Girls voice actors who were of high school age at the time, might I add.
What was this?
And it was also an open critic of the Me Too movement, claiming he would proudly continue to harass and tease women.
Here, we got a great quote here. Yamakan like a vampire. He sucks and is incapable of reflection. That's good. Good one.
Great Forest IRC. Katakawa wants to hire him for Kemono Friends Season 2.
That's a bad idea.
Please tell me that's a joke. Because people already don't like what Katakawa did with Kemono Friends. Okay, thank you. It's a joke. Thank you. I was afraid for a minute there.
I got my some of my notes out here.
Affirmative.
So now the thing is I actually haven't seen all these, just like in the 60s.
Oh wait, I haven't published this yet. Let's publish that.
Oh my god,
we're about to do that.
You know that might criticize Otaku by calling them bird brain Pavlov's dogs, pigs, or worms when they exhibit certain stereotypical behaviors. Wow.
I wrote down the number. Let me write down the number.
Wait. Essentially, Yamakai implied in his tweet that people who watch anime past a certain age are not like normal movies. Dude, I mean, look at the anime.
What about people who? Okay, can we talk about people who make anime past a certain age and can't,
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like someone get alcohol away from this dude. I imagine that makes him even worse.
Ready on second segment.
Yeah, I am.
In 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to NTR Radio.
Don your bell bottoms. Drop the needle on your favorite Funkadelic records. It's time to check out the 70s.
Yeah, in keeping with our ongoing series on the history of anime.
And putting your 8-track in.
Yeah.
And we will be, all three of us will be donning a fro as we no.
Yeah, no.
With
our history of anime series, we're talking about anime of the 1970s.
Yes. Now, Japan in the 70s is interesting simply for the fact that this is before the big boom.
Yeah.
This is before, their economy really took off.
No, but it was starting to.
No, yeah, it's getting there, but it's sort of like an in-between stage.
Right.
They're starting to kind of really export stuff now.
Yep.
And by that we don't mean really anime. We're more referring to like electronics and automobiles and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're approaching the age where people are going to start thinking Japan's going to take over the world.
Yeah, and in the 80s, which a little foreshadowing, this is probably Paramount. This is where it's like takes the biggest probably hit there. I mean, there's even movies and shit about it. But anyway, that's not where we're at. We're in the 70s, so
Yeah.
we're hanging out down the street. The same old plate. No, God, you didn't get that, did you?
I feel like I'm glad I didn't get that, quite frankly.
They're the television programming, that 70s show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's kind of get the ball rolling. I think one of the first big titles that came out in the 70s that has any real prominence is Ashita no Joe.
Yes, indeed. Tomorrow's Joe.
It's
those things that was big there, but like really until maybe now, like now people know what it is. But
right.
People.
There's something that surprises me about this, and it's how fluid it actually looks. This particular show, and the reason I say that is because anime is and was and still is to an extent best known for cutting corners in animation technique.
Yeah, limited animation. Which, by the way, that was a lot of that had to do with Tezuka.
Right, but the big point I want to make with this is even so, it still looks good. They made for a boxing show, they knew how to make it look nice, and still pretty much use that technique. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen any clips from it or anything, or art, or it's just me.
I haven't actually seen clips, but I take your word.
Yeah.
Cutting by years in each year, like
we're just kind of going canonically across it. Yeah.
Yeah. So 1970, right now.
Yeah, but that's the only one I actually have for 1970. If you've got other ones.
Well, here's the one. I haven't seen. Well, actually, I've seen clips of this movie, but I'm not. Did Tezuka direct this? Yes, he did. Cleopatra Queen, which was also released here as Cleopatra Queen of Sex. Yes, adult. Yeah, it was advertised as the first X-rated pornographic animated movie in the United States. However, Fritz the Cat came out with X rating before April 18. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. Interesting tidbit of trivia here. Tamino actually did some directing on this.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's going to be a big name a little later.
Yes, indeed.
But he still managed. That's the thing. The thing about the anime industry in terms of like authors, illustrators, directors, and all that, producers and all that stuff, is very incestuous. There's a lot of moving around on different projects and different companies and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very fun industry to do the connections thing, the like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon thing.
Oh, like if you wanted to make like one of those family tree things, it'd be a fucking nightmare.
Well, that's because the industry was obviously much smaller then.
Well, but it still
the same
is
case
like that.
now. Yeah, it's the same case now.
I think that's because they have kind of they don't have nearly as harsh with contracts about who can work where. Perhaps.
And it's also a niche too.
Yeah,
so
it's
like,
not the idols. It's not the idol industry.
Yeah, but yeah. Tomorrow's Joe. Again, it's been redone a couple times too. It's been made into a few movies and so forth.
And like,
the new one's gonna go on Adult Swim, by the way. The one where it's like the cyborg one.
Yeah, it wasn't Megalobox. Wasn't that one the one?
Yes, that's
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is it's either a sequel or a spinoff. All I know is that it's related to the old 70s anime, Ashita no Joe.
Not so 6 Degrees of Hayao Miyazaki. Yeah. I actually like that. That would be a good person to do that with too.
Yeah.
Anyway, this came out, as far as I know, from Weekly Shonen magazine. Okay, but moving along. The next big one that I got on here is Lupin the Third.
Yep.
Monkey Punch did this. You gotta love that as a creator name, Monkey Punch.
That was the first one, not the one that aired on Adult Swim, which was the second one, I think.
Right.
Right. This is the first one. It's often called the Green Jacket because he's wearing a green jacket. You think? But it ran for like 27 episodes or something like that. I don't remember. But anyway, I've seen it. It's very good. It's actually based off of a historical real character, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And he's a thief and all that other good stuff.
And I got something here. So when we were talking about the 60s, we brought up Gege no Kitaro and how pretty much every decade, including now, they basically make a new one of these.
Yep.
And we have one here in the 70s. And like I said, it's amazing. Like, all the character designs stay the same except for one character.
Yeah.
And the one character has been getting progressively more in the moe aesthetic.
To kind of wrap up what I was saying about Lupin the Third there, though, this is interesting in the sense that it's technically still going. I mean, as an IP, they're still making them.
Yeah.
They make specials every once in a while, and again, they're on their, I think, like 5th season.
Yeah,
or
the
whatever.
5th one was. The 5th one was the.
Which we'll trace it back around to there when it's appropriate.
Yeah, they also made that spin-off about Fujiko.
Yeah. Again, we'll cover all this stuff when it's pertinent. But this first one, again, you start to see one thing that's really obvious about it is how much Cowboy Bebop liberally borrows from it. Like, if you've never seen Lupin the Third, like you'll understand when you do pop off and see it. You'll start spotting some of the stylistic kind of like, oh wow, they totally took it from that. There's even some weird Charlie's Angels sort of shit going on with the the color schemes when they do the red, yellow, do.
Yep.
Yeah. And again, Bebop would use that as well. I can't remember what year that came out though. And I'm not going to bother looking it up right now. It's not important, but it has that vibe, the way it has usage of shadows and so forth.
Right.
And of course, again, it's still going on now, so there you go. And we also have some interesting choices that come up after that. In 1972, you start seeing some...
Yeah, okay, 1972 is quite a big year.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. You have two big ones from one guy.
Yeah.
You have Devilman and Mazinger Z, which operate as two totally different sort of subgenres, really. I mean, on Mazinger Z, you got kind of the I don't know, how would you describe it? Is it really super robot or?
Yeah, it's a super robot show.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely super robot.
Right. Okay. And you got Devilman, which again also is sort of continuing.
Physics. What's that?
Yeah. Go Nagai is just a very interesting person.
You know how like Gundam and most real mecha are like concerned with like scale, and it's like
at least on some level, yeah.
It's like, you know how like his robots, like at least when they're lined up, have different sizes, but at the same time when they do those crossover movies, they're all the same height. It's
right.
Big, bigger, big. Yeah, it's like
both of these shows technically still put out, both of these IPs rather still put out new material though, which is interesting. Devilman was a huge influence on forthcoming people in the industry, because that's where you started to see a lot of those big sort of, you definitely saw how it took influence from those monster movies and shit. I mean, because it's like, oh, they can, not only are they this, but they can grow really big and that sort of thing.
Well, to be fair, I think that was only this anime where where he grows. I don't think that was in the original manga. I would think that was because of the time this came out, which was the whole giant hero and Ultraman.
Right, but the point is that probably inspired lots of stuff that came afterwards.
Oh, of course.
It also was one of the first. I don't know if it was this anime specifically, but I also know it was one of the first that bumped heads with like parental resource center type bullshit.
I'm sure, you know, of it.
that was not very fond of this show. Did you know he actually had to go into hiding at one point?
Wow.
Well, that was this thing, Shameless School. That was the thing that was the manga Shameless School, where he got like the PTA, like
the Japanese equivalent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's an interesting thing about Mazinger Z, and I actually saw this. I didn't read it for some reason, but I did actually witness it. In the early '90s in Blockbuster, I see this weird robot next to and I look at it and it said, what this was basically a version of the Mazinger Z that they brought over and they called it, get ready for the name. Tranzor Z. Because they brought it out in the 80s with like when Transformers and
right.
And that actually probably deterred it because it was like by that time it was already 10 years old.
Right.
And it was like you're putting it next to like, because when they brought like Voltron, like Go Lion,
it was still relatively new.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But Mazinger Z, even though it's cool in its way, it still is like it has an aesthetic that was like of a different
its time. It's like it ran for almost, and that's the thing. Devilman ran for a typical season. Mazinger Z was like 70 some odd episodes or some shit.
No, it's like 90 something.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I was off then. It ran for like 2 full years.
Yeah, 92.
Nonstop, pretty much. And
that's just the first one.
Yeah. We'll get foreshadowing. There's more. But the thing about that one is, and again, not really trying to review it since we're just trying to put it in its place here, but it's one of those things where since this is before home video in Japan and all that good stuff, it really wasn't meant to be like marathon or anything like that.
Oh no.
But you can get Devilman and Mazinger Z now at Discotheque. If you want to check them out, you're just an anime historian or morbidly curious, they actually have put these out. And
that's great. It's like now you can see the what would be considered repetitive now.
Extremely.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's still worth checking out if just for the historical reason.
There's another big one on the bottom here.
Mm-hmm.
Science Team Ninja Gatchaman.
Yes.
That's on my list too. I was going to mention that next.
And that
I was about to mention this one.
And unlike the others, this one actually they did kind of the right thing where the Western version, which was called Battle of the Planets,
first Western version,
close. I think it was like in '78, so fairly close to when this was at.
That was one of the first big anime intrusions into the United States.
Yes.
Yeah. Of course, we were still unawares, but so to speak.
Well, see, it's hilarious because Science Team Ninja Gatchaman got 2 adaptations, and it's kind of a generational thing at that point because the person who used to lead the anime club I went to in the library, who was much older than me, grew up with Battle of the Planets.
Yeah,
I grew up with G-Force, which is the one that came out later and was aired on Toonami.
Mm-hmm. Right, but the point is it's based off of this.
Yeah,
it's all based off of Science Ninja Team Gatchaman.
I've seen Battle of Planets, but it was on Boomerang.
Which they predicted the future to an extent because this comes out in '72, and here it is. Here it is, 2018, and we're still trying to gotcha, man.
I'm
sorry.
I don't know what that was, but it's getting the rings.
I don't think I don't think this was in. I know this was for Battle of the Planets. I don't think it was for G-Force.
It was referring to gotchas, man.
Yes.
And definitely not for gotchas. They added new animated bits to fill in the gaps that of stuff that they cut out, like the violence and such.
Right.
And it was this like R2D2 type robot called 7 Zark 7 that was basically there to like explain the plot to and basically to be like the narrator to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, what were those gotcha men? Will they be able to get out of this? And it's like, and of course, looking at it, it's clearly in a slightly different style, almost Barbera-ish,
right?
Look than the rest of the show.
Yeah. Well, one of the other ones was Panda Go Panda.
Yeah.
At least that's on my research list here. I've never seen this one. I'll just be blunt about it. I really haven't.
Isn't that Miyazaki worked on that?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
It was directed by Isao Takahata. I mean, unsurprisingly, I didn't see it. It's a children's film originally released in '72. And I don't know if anybody actually put this out ever. Okay, yeah. Discotheque actually did put this out.
Yeah.
Own Heroes, Discotheque Media.
Yeah, well, they found their niche in the whole thing, it seems like.
Seriously did.
I got actually one more thing, and then we move on. I haven't watched this, but I know of this. All right. So the same year Mazinger Z comes out, another robot show comes out, called Astro Ganger.
Gotta love that name.
Yeah, but unlike Mazinger Z, where the robot, what made it original for the time was that the robot was piloted on the inside. This one was still like the way Texagen 28 was.
Right, remote controlled.
Yeah. Well, controlled from the outside.
Right.
Or I don't know. It was I don't know if it was even controlled or sentient, but yeah, not potted like the other. Yeah. Okay, moving along.
The next ones we got are definitely kind of strange. I mean, this is also in '73. This is where Doraemon first pops out, I believe.
Yep.
And it ran for a little while, but it ultimately ended up being made into another series later on in the decade. But it did show up originally here, I believe. And a lot of tropes and gags from anime actually originate here.
Yeah.
So like if you've seen it, if you've watched it, you will see lots of things that are still being kind of tinkered and played around with even now. Again, some of these old shows, you look and go, oh, that's kind of passe. Well, it wasn't when they made it. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The other big one from '73 is Kashan, also known as some long ass Neo-Human Kashuran. Yeah. This was this is another sci-fi one, as you can tell by some of the images if you pop it up into a thing. This is another one that I honestly didn't see, but I believe Sentai Filmworks actually put this one out.
Sentai Filmworks has the license. I haven't seen this one, but I've seen they had a
the 90s
OVA. I didn't see the 90s OVA, but I saw the 2008 reboot, Casher Sins, back when it aired on the Toonami reboot.
Right.
And I remember that. I have not seen the original, nor did I see that OVA. I think that popped out in the 90s. But apparently this was sort of a big deal at the time.
There was also a from what I hear, a very terrible live action movie from like the 2000s.
Yeah, I could see that.
That they made.
I mean, it came off of Okay, let's look here. Yeah, Sentai has it if you want to check it out. Again, I can't, except for seeing little clips of that one that came out on Toonami years back, I honestly haven't seen much, if any, of this, other than just knowing the name.
Right.
Do you got on your list Belladonna of Sadness?
Not for 73, no.
Okay, because that's actually kind of a deal also.
Mm-hmm.
It's not done by Tezuka, but it was done by his studio.
Mm-hmm.
It's very. I've seen clips of it, and I've heard a lot of what it's about. It's very in that like, it doesn't really resemble like anime. It's like very much like a sort of. Yeah, here it is.
It's a weird kind of art house sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, I was trying. That was looking. And it's kind of a rough take on Joan of Arc.
Yep.
Japan in general seems to have somewhat of a fascination with that part of history and that sort of like characterization, because Joan of Arc pops up in a lot of anime, surprisingly.
They definitely made her hot in the Fate series.
Oh, well, yeah, they made a lot of people hot in the Fate series.
Any others you want to go on?
Yeah, I've actually got quite a few here. We got Aim for the Ace.
Yes. Yep.
Which is, everybody's familiar with probably have seen at least manga of it somewhere. It's a tennis, sports, romance.
Also,
sort of.
where the title "Aim for the Top" comes from.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, which we'll
hear a lot more of that in
a future episode
in the early 80s.
So this is actually a pretty big deal. It's sold a fuck ton of manga as far as I know. And it's also been done a couple times. It's been more series pop out and films and all. Anime is really strange like that. You'll see them come back to IPs and try to reboot them.
Yeah.
Like every so often. And this is an example of that, because the last thing that was made with this was an OVA in the late 80s, 90s. And they also had a television drama version of it. So, again, it's one of those things that a lot of us didn't get to see plenty of this stuff because it was never released here, or if it was released here, it was more recently, with publications now going back and kind of digging into anime's past.
Yeah, exactly.
And trying to, like, hey, for people like me who like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, I got to see every stupid robot show that ever existed, no matter how bad it is. I wish I was lying about that. Anyway.
Well, that's like me in mid-level, early 2000s harem comedies.
We've all got our vices here.
Yep.
On NTR Radio.
Gotta love Happy Lesson. Gotta.
I remember that one. Holy crap.
We'll talk more about Happy Lesson in the early 2000s episode.
Another one, and this one I actually not only have seen, but I'm very fond of it. Cutie Honey.
Mm-hmm.
Another Go Nagai piece. This one, I hesitate to call it Magical Girl. I mean, I know that's what it really falls under, but it's not what you're thinking. It's not like Sailor Moon or something like that.
Yeah, it's not. It's Magical Girl, but it's shonen. It's not.
Yeah. It's aimed at men for sure. I mean, and again, it takes place clearly in the same sort of universe as Devilman, because Go Nagai likes to put characters and parts and stuff in other shows that he's worked on. He's big on that. And
we'll actually probably get to another guy who likes to do the same thing later on in this episode.
Yes. I mean, and again, it's been redone a couple times in the future. It's totally worth getting. Discotheque put this one out, unsurprisingly. It comes with full recommendations. It's really fun. It also starts. This is where cute girls start really showing up in anime, I think. Yeah. I mean, they've always been there to an extent, but it comes across as more done with purpose here. Like Honey, the main character, is meant to be attractive. Like,
yeah, it's explicitly designed for your eye to.
Yeah, exactly. It's explicitly designed for the male gaze.
Yeah, designed to appeal to young men.
Yes.
I love the way you said that, the male gaze. That's
yeah, I did that on purpose.
That's great.
Yeah, but it's true. It was.
That's exactly what you're supposed to be looking at. Her.
I mean, it's the story itself is not particularly surprising. Spoiler alert, she's an android.
Hey,
I haven't gotten to it, but I have the OVA version on my hard drive.
I actually like that one more, and I'll fanboy more about that down the line. But no, the first it ran for about 25 episodes. Toei worked on this one. So again, Toei Animation, always
prolific studio Toei.
Yeah, I mean one of if not the first, and still going. It's really pumping those things out.
That cat sure gets around.
You'll definitely in this decade see Toei moving from like trying to be like Disney to a more
like this one. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
they come into their own.
Designed to sell IP on for television and merchandise tie-in.
Right. Well,
to continue on, just one little quick thing. The fun thing about this is the main character is a Catholic schoolgirl.
Yeah.
I mean, in case you wanted to argue about how fetishistic it is or whatever. I mean, also, just as a point of trivia, you gotta love that the name of the bad guys in this is Panther Claw. I mean, that's just fun. So yeah, this one's a really good one. It's
Go to God keeps it simple. It's like
exactly. He does not go for. It's not that he doesn't have nuance. It's just that he doesn't go out of his way to try to make things subtle.
No, subtlety is not in his vocabulary. It's like I said with the whole scaling of the robots, and it's like, dude, it's like he's probably like, dude, this one's big, this one's bigger, this one's even bigger. There you go. It's like
So I think we could say by now, 73 moving into 74 is where it's starting to pick up.
Yeah.
Because more stuff is starting to come out that's really catching your ears and eyes. And the first one I'm going to talk about might not be the one you would think, but it's Alps no Shoujo Heidi, or Heidi of the Alps.
Yes.
Right.
This actually appeared in a lot of places outside of Japan. As far as I know. I know in Europe and South America, this actually got regular TV play, I think, at some point.
I do remember reading it was big in South America.
Yeah, because...
it's part of the World Magic Theater.
Exactly. It's one of numerous ones, classical children's literature. And, of course, Hayao Miyazaki and Tomino were both actually on the staff of this, believe it or not. It apparently actually did show in Cartoon Network over in India as well. It ran for about 52 episodes. What studio put this out? Zuyo Aizo. Yeah, whoever that is. Sorry, but not a name I'm recognizing here. But again, Hans Christian kind of stuff and all that sort of stuff starts getting adapted.
Yeah.
Into these like animation masterpieces. And was there ever a box set of these things?
Probably in Japan, not here, imagine.
Yeah, I mean, put it this way. This specific one was dubbed into about 20 different languages. Yep. Spanish, German, Italian, Afrikaans.
Wow.
Indian, just all it got around, to say the least. And there was a movie, I believe, made of it as well a little later on.
I gotta talk about the next one. Oh boy.
Now we get to some more robot goodies.
No, wait, hold on. Before we get to what I know you're going to talk about, I have to bring up one other one.
Okay.
Chargeman Ken.
Okay.
Chargeman Ken is one of those shows that it was, I forgot how long was each episode. There were shorts. They weren't full episodes. Discotech licensed it.
Yeah, so anything made in this period, it's if somebody has it, they're most likely the ones that do.
Yeah, here's the thing.
But the thing is I want to actually say if somebody does, just in case you want to check it out.
Yeah.
I do think that's kind of a sort of a helpful thing to do.
All right. After its initial broadcast, the show remained obscure until 2007, when it was released on DVD and uploaded to video sharing site Nico Doga.
Huh.
The show quickly gained a cult reputation as so bad it's good due to its ridiculous dialogue, limited animation, and sound effects, the ineptitude of the villains, and the cruelty of Ken, the hero of the show. Yeah, it then became popular as an internet meme. Yeah, because I've seen a bunch of episodes.
Mm.
And yeah, it's kind of like in that, I don't know, you know, like how some of those like 60s, 70s cartoons that you watch them today, like, wow, how could anyone like some of those Hanna-Barbera ones?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that.
And if anyone's curious, Discotech Media actually has episodes 1 through 10 up on their YouTube channel. So if anyone's really curious about Chargeman Ken,
you know where to go. Okay, a couple of big robot ones come out now. Getter Robo.
Yes.
This was written by Ken Ishikawa and Go Nagai. I don't think he actually was on the staff of the first one that came out, though, was he?
I
know he wrote it, but that doesn't mean they all...
The thing about these robot shows is I don't think he wrote for these. He just only did the manga for these.
That's what I'm saying. Is I don't think he actually did like any other thing other than supplied the source material here.
Yes. Which is... there was a lot of changes from Get a Robo from the original manga to the anime.
Right. It's again more super robot stuff. Again, the best thing about this is just beginning. It's going to get significantly more prominent.
Yeah.
Also, no, I'm sorry. Continue.
A lot of things out here are again, it's one of those ones that picks up and more stuff keeps getting made based on it.
Yeah.
I don't remember if they showed this under some other name here, did they?
Not this one. The second one.
Yeah, which we'll get to that when it's prominent. But again, a lot of later era shows would look at this as sort of a touchstone of the genre.
Yeah. Well, also the first combining robot.
Mm-hmm. Right. So there's that one, and plus you got a couple other ones too. I mean, Mazinger Z becomes Great Mazinger at this point.
Yep.
Which, by the way, in my opinion, is much better than its predecessor. And again, one of those shows.
Design or just the show, the show, or you just mean design wise?
I mean the show.
The show. All right.
There's also a couple of movies.
Yeah.
That are worth talking about. I don't have them listed, but you see some crossover stuff going on at that point between Devilman and a couple of Go Nagai's other IPs.
Right.
Yeah, that's mostly what I've seen is a bunch of these movies.
Right, and somewhat understandable because you get what you need out of it in a condensed form without having to slog through an ungodly number of episodes that are repetitive.
Yes, you also get,
and usually they just look better because they're movies.
Yeah, slightly better animation.
Exactly. I actually like Great Mazinger more than I did the original one because I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because there's less episodes. This one only has 56. I mean,
it's only 56.
Well, yeah, but that's 40 something less episodes, you know. And again, you're going a guy striking again, and this is nowhere near the end of Mazinger.
No, not by a long shot.
No, it's still coming out. And again, you can pick this up from Discotheque as well. Again, I know that's being kind of repetitive and redundant, but I think it's important.
Yeah, they're the ones who was licensing all this stuff.
Well, I want people to be able to watch this stuff if they're interested, so might as well let them know where they can get it.
Yep.
I mean, unless they're just a pirate.
I mean, hey, if another company was licensing all this stuff, we'd say their name too. But
yep. And again, the problem is this is the first era of anime where you're starting to see a lot of this stuff is available now.
Right.
I mean, this didn't used to be available even when I got into anime or even 10 years afterwards. So
the only way you would have been able to see some of this stuff is, again, very edited, because some of I'll get to that later, which shows, because this will be my specialty,
right? And but beyond that, though, you have the first time you can really get this stuff here beyond just like really crappy Hong Kong sub rips from freaking like laser discs and crap like that. Otherwise, you just kind of had to have somebody dub it onto a tape for you.
Yeah, you had to be in one of those circles where people were sending tapes back and forth to Japan, Battlestar Galactica, in exchange for whatever we were trying to get.
Right.
Also, good luck being able to see like every episode of that stuff.
Yeah. Holy crap. So it's interesting now that anime has become what it is here, that we're actually able to kind of peer back into history through these like that, because they're being picked up and put out by people who kind of want everybody to be able to follow along with sort of the history of the medium.
Right.
And again, I go on record and say I'm a big fan of Laserdisc trades. Yeah, somebody said that in the thing. Yeah. Hey, would you like some Full House? No. And of course, the other big one from '74, and this is a big one, Super Battleship Yamato.
Yes.
Space Battleship Yamato. My eye was wandering and it read the wrong word.
That's something I did see in the '90s, but it was Star Blazers.
Star Blazers.
This is an example of them changing titles and messing with stuff here.
Yeah.
A very infamous one for that matter.
Yeah, they changed the name Yamato to Argo.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that is one that, again, like I said with Gotcha Man, that they released it shortly after it's Japanese, so it was able to sort of go with it, and you could tell like they definitely released it as a response to Star Wars.
I actually have some commentary based on some of this. First off, the biggest thing I need to point out of this is that it's directed by a guy that's really important, Leiji Matsumoto.
Remember, he's the other guy I was talking about, where he likes to put elements from one thing into another thing.
Yes, he does that all the time. And again, if you couldn't tell by the name, it's space opera, military, sci-fi sort of stuff.
Goes on to inspire basically everything about it. Like if you've watched any space opera anime, basically its pedigree goes back to Space Battleship Yamato.
Let's point out that a couple of pieces of trivia about it. Anno from Evangelion fame, this is his favorite anime.
Hey, good supposedly. Taste.
And it's also the first anime movie or series to win a Seiyun Award.
Hey,
which is sci-fi works and achievement sort of thing. Yeah, and it says a feat that wouldn't be basically repeated until 1984. So, which we'll cover that when we get to it.
Yep.
This is another show that has a ton of stuff. I mean, there's a bunch of movies, there's new series. There's been reboots. And again,
A live
films.
action movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot about that. That happened about 8 years ago or something. But yeah, Leiji Matsumoto, this is probably the first time his name pops up, at least for me. He might have been working on other stuff prior, but it's the first time I ever saw his name.
It's the work that put him on the map.
I think so.
You got another important thing from this year.
Mm-hmm.
Hurricane Polymer, which is also from, like you were talking about Kashan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is kind of like the follow-up show. Basically, these Tatsunoko production superhero shows.
Mm-hmm. Right. And again, this ran for 26 episodes, and it would also be condensed into a movie, which would be a little different. And again, this is a very common practice the Japanese like to do, taking a thing and making it into a movie or a succession of movies.
Yeah.
Sometimes with mixed results, as you'll see in the future, but it is pretty common though. And this is no exception.
Went on to 75.
So again, Star Blazers is kind of a badass name. Yeah, it is. I've always liked the name, but this is the original moniker. So beyond that, we're moving into the middle of the year, and we're gonna run across some different stuff here, like UFO Robot Grendizer.
Yeah.
Again, the obsession with the whole big robots thing is.
Well, it's another Gona guy, and
who wrote the manga. Yeah.
Technically in the same, like, Mazinger.
Yes. Yep. Just as I said, he likes to put his stuff together, and he actually did write he was involved with the anime version of this one. He wrote for the actual series.
Also big in.
It ran for 74 episodes.
Yeah, it's here. Oh, yeah. Go on.
And yeah, I mean, it's not really too different from the things he made. I mean, he wrote a ton of manga at this point with super robot kind of stuff. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, okay, this is the start of when you're starting to see, because this is one of the 5 shows that were brought over in. Okay, it was brought over in 1980. As there was a thing called Force 5, which was 5 different anime shows. Primarily shown only in New England, Pennsylvania, Virginia. Wow, so it didn't have
much of a range there.
Yeah.
And it was retitled to Grandizer.
Yeah. Yeah, we have Grandizer.
Here's the weird thing, though. Think about where this actually took off outside of Japan. It was apparently popular in the Middle East, of all places, and France and Quebec.
Go figure.
And New Brunswick. Apparently, up in the French-speaking parts of Canada, it was fairly popular as well. Yeah, so that's kind of different. Interesting stuff. I mean, again, nothing that jumps out of it that's any real different from the stuff he was already doing. I mean, if you like that, you'll like this. It's that simple.
No, it's just all the monsters had a UFO aesthetic.
Right. Which is, it's in the name, and it has crossover with Getter Robo and Mazinger. And literally, it shows up in like movies with them and things like that.
Yeah, and there was a crossover movie with like all 3.
Yeah, there actually was. So that's pretty cool. And again, you see what I mean by how certain authors just have these universes where they just throw everything they've got in them.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we have a new IP. Well, let's try to get it into our universe somehow.
What's funny is there was before that, there was a movie where there was a Grandizer movie where the bad guys steal. Okay, so the plot: these bad guys, they encased in glass is Mazinger and Great Mazinger. They go and they only steal great Mazda. And I'm like, why don't you steal the other robot too? It's like, why don't? It's like, yeah, steal both.
Mhm.
It's like, nah, leave that one. We don't need it. We got great Mazinger.
Yeah. So to continue on a little bit, now some of these I haven't seen any of, so I'm gonna have to just kind of defer them to you guys. You might be able to say more about them, but there's one called Candy Candy.
I know, I've heard of that.
I've heard of this one.
My girlfriend has seen this one, and again, I have a general idea based upon,
Was that one big in France too?
and probably South America too. I think that's one she said was real popular down there. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. In any case, Toei I think put this one out again. I believe. Yeah, they did.
It's
And
still on 75?
Yes.
Okay.
This one ran for 115 episodes.
Correction. This is 76.
6. Yep.
Oh, okay. Because guess what? You missed some stuff with 75.
I didn't miss anything. I'm talking about what's on my list.
Oh, all right. No, because all right. Man.
I mean, if you want to add something, go ahead. But I didn't miss anything.
Because well, yeah, Get a Robo G.
Mm-hmm.
Which was the sequel series to Get a Robo.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also had the original Tekka Man, the Space Knight, which was also Tatsunoko Productions. Weirdly enough, that one did get a US release also, but beats me how I know because I didn't know about that.
Well, this Candy Candy, besides the 115 episodes, it also put out a couple of movies over time.
Yes.
And again, this one I think did reasonably well in the non-Japanese market. Again, I think it kind of popped out in some odd places, just like some of that World Masterpiece Theater stuff did, even though it's not part of that.
Right.
It's also got a real freaking bitch of a character in it that I'm not going to get into, but
yeah.
Here's the thing about this year, 76. You definitely see, because all the other ones before were all the other robot shows, say for like maybe one or two, were all from Go Nagai.
Yeah.
And now you're starting to see some non-Go. Well, okay, Gloiser X, that's from Go Nagai, but not as. I don't think it was as popular as the other ones. Yeah, see, only 36 episodes. Probably had a shorter.
Hmm.
Oh, it says was created by Go Nagai as a side project during the time he was busy with the various manga singers series. But as far as you get these other robot shows. Well, here's one Guy King.
Yeah, I do know that one. And didn't Tomino work on that one?
No.
I know he worked on a couple of them, but okay.
If he did, he only may have worked like as a production level, not in the.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You might be right with that one, but that's about it.
I just like how the 1976 paradigm is, whoa, holy shit. Go Nagai's been making Super Robot anime for 4 years already. We need to catch up.
Yeah, but then here's the thing. Then you get the stuff of like, well, you're gonna see a new paradigm shift, okay, in this year, because even though yes, there was combining Robot with Get a Robo and Get a Robo G, the way they combined was not meant to be physically. You couldn't do it in a toy. You couldn't.
Yeah,
do it
yeah, I gotcha.
You can't make a real thing that actually combines that way.
That changes with Chodenji Robo Combattler V, and that is part of a what's known as the Robot Romance Trilogy, credited by Saru Yatsudi and directed by Taro Nagayama, which was the robot in that is made of 5 vehicles that actually combine, and the toy for that would combine the same exact way, more or less.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that you're starting to see the tandem, which I actually forgot to mention for 75. Ray Dean was actually the first of that kind of tandem, because before that of toy coming out with the show, because before that it was only the toys as a response to the popularity of the shows.
Right.
But yeah, we're definitely seeing a but then you get the sort of like Me Too shows where it's like, I can do this too.
See, I'm glad you clarified that real quick, because I was thinking about that freaking hashtag. It's like, I love how everybody points that out. It's like hashtag Me Too. It's like, yeah, that's better than saying the other one, pound Me Too.
Because you got UFO Warrior Diaplon.
Gotta love that name.
Yes. The premise of this one is a football player, American football player themed robot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go Patriots.
Okay. And here's the thing. Okay, first off, English release. 5 episodes were combined and dubbed into English to create a re-edited movie called Shadow World. The setting was changed to California. Names were changed to American ones. This was released in video 1986. I actually watched this, and here's what you gotta know. Okay, it's 3 robots that combine, but then the main pilot grows, and the robot becomes armor for that. They just did that. Oh wait. We're that's only the start of this era.
Oh, okay.
We also got Blocker Gundam not Gundam. Gundam for Machine Blaster. Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna start treating these long ass super robot anime titles like I treat long ass novel titles.
At least these ones are usually cool at some point.
Well, I feel like it gets kind of ridiculous at a point.
It does.
Because it's like, okay, I get it. You're trying to... It's like VZ said, these are Me Too shows where they're trying to jump on some trend, and it's like, okay, which I feel like a lot of light novels are doing as well. They're trying to jump on this trend all the way down to and this is a trend you actually see throughout anime throughout its history, where it's like, okay, you have the type of the machine and then the name of the machine. So Blocker Gundam 4 Machine Blaster, or Space Battleship Yamato, or Space Runaway Ideon.
Yeah, I forgot to mention for the previous year, another Gona Guy thing, Steel Jeeg, and what's cool about that guy is because the toy had like magnetic joints that would pop apart, and like the different weapons would be like basically a round magnet with the weapon.
Right.
This year had the second show with that gimmick, not done by Gona Guy, called Magna Robo Gakin, and that too, like what I mentioned earlier, the Diaplon was also released in video here. It was called Magnos the Robot, and then I watched on YouTube. Because let me explain something about. I know we're going fast forward in time, but during the era when VHS was becoming popular in rental stores, they needed stuff real fast to fill up the shelves. Okay, you following me?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They needed stuff to put on the shelves. Kitties. Anime. Japan already had stuff, but this was before putting whole TV series out.
Right.
Because they weren't. So what they did is they would make sort of like compilation movies, which by compilation movie would be like the first 4 episodes.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I gotcha.
Okay. And they call that a movie, you know.
Yeah. All right.
And when I get to 77, there's a very important aspect because then you're gonna involve my childhood with that aspect. Okay.
Okay. So we need to move on.
Okay. 77.
No. I'm still not. No. When I say we need to move on, I mean I got another thing to talk about.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
3,000 Leagues in Search of Mother. This was another one of those World Masterpiece Theater deals. This ran for about 52 episodes. It's directed by Isao Takahata.
I've heard that.
I'm saying his name wrong, but and it ran for almost all year. This one's another one of those ones, like all the World Masterpiece Theaters, that really made some inroads outside of Japan. It was dubbed into numerous languages and broadcast, I believe, in Iran, of all places, Portugal, Brazil, a lot of South America, Venezuela, Colombia, Peru, but then also in like Turkey, Malaysia, Israel. It got around, is what I'm saying. And it was called Marco in most, I think, in a lot of South America places or something like that. Anyway, the point is again, this one was another one of those examples of it sneaking its way out of Japan and into the realms of not Japan, for the lack of a better term. And I wanted to kind of squeeze that in there before we kind of moved on. 77. First off, Lupin the Third returns.
Yes.
For part 2. I believe this one's called Red Jacket. Or maybe is that 3? I can't remember.
I think it's Red Jacket.
Yeah.
The third one was Pink Jacket.
Yeah, exactly. This one ran for a long, long time. This is 155 episodes. So this ran for like almost 4 years. Or yeah, about 4 years. And you can get this one, by the way. This one is like the first batch of them put out on Discotheque.
Heroes.
Apparently, some of these episodes actually ended up on VHS here in the 90s. Weirdly enough. That's odd. A couple episodes were directed by Miyazaki.
Yep.
So there's his connection. There's his connection with.
I think I know. It was a Streamline that put that out.
Yes, it was Streamline. Yep.
Miyazaki episodes specifically.
Yep. That was put out under Tales of the Wolf, supposedly.
Yes.
Never saw it, but apparently that was the case.
Okay.
It looks like Pioneer actually put out 79 episodes of it, some of which were broadcast in 2003. But yeah, last year they picked up the whole thing. Discotheque did. And again, it's more of the same. So if you like a lot of people, this is their favorite era of Lupin the Third. Mine included. And it's well worth getting. And again, it just proves that you can have a long show that's continually interesting and fun. And again, we're heading toward kind of the back end of the 70s now. So we're starting to see that they can do that without it being completely like Mazinger Z, where it's just, what do you call it? Monster of the Week kind of thing. And it still be, really good. Now beyond that, Do you have anything?
We forgot to mention the Time Boken series because that started in 75, and here's the third one, Yatterman. Which,
yeah, I actually have that on my list. It's 77.
Yes.
I believe. Yeah. And that's interesting in a sense. I mean, that ran for 108 episodes. So this should tell you how much anime's really changed. Because and you would never be able to pitch that now.
Yeah, we won't see a complete shift in this paradigm for a decade and more so a decade and a half.
Because
put it this way. It was a big deal that the new Sword Art Online is 50 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, this show would be remade, or not, would come back, I should say.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the 2000s, which again is interesting because it's damn near 30 years removed when it does. Again, it's comedy for the most part. It's, it's one that I actually never did manage to see. I obviously knew about it, and again, it does have some mecha and stuff like that in there. But it was one of those titles that I would see it, and to be honest, the name kind of put me off. Yatterman? What? But yeah, it's a part of the Time Boken series.
Yeah, which is basically basically it's Tatsunoko's own robot thing, but like with a very comedic bent to it. And the thing that, and one of the aspects that would sort of become influential of all things Pokemon with a Team Rocket.
Right.
But basically like three goofy villains who can't do anything right. Sort of ineffectual. Really kind of started in the whole Time Boken thing, because they always did that. In that. Let's see. What else?
Okay, that's really all I have for 77.
Oh, okay, because there's a bunch here that I could talk about. Vanguard Ace, which is another robot show, written by Leiji Matsumoto.
No doubt, there's probably some cross-pollination going on there at some point.
And no doubt the main character looks exactly like Harlock.
Which we should point out is very near.
Yeah, although I think I've heard him state that he didn't care about it was probably just only like a contractual thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he really cared to for this thing, which is why it only shows up in this
right
on its own. That was another one of the shows brought for Force 5. Let's see. Okay.
Uh-oh.
We got another one of those. Hey, I could do this too.
Oh, hey.
Try to make money too.
Gorna Guy's been making robot anime for the past 5 years. We need to get on some shit.
Yeah, Cho Gatai Majutsu Robot Gingeyser. Okay?
Yeah.
Start treating these shows, these long ass titles, like I treat light novel titles, because it's upsetting.
Yikes! This is kind of like the Chargeman Ken of robot anime. Okay. To give you an idea, I have a weird soft spot for it, but it's kind of like if Mazi, it's basically a lot of these robot shows would take like the wrong aspects or the worst aspects of like the Gonagai robot shows.
They're trying to recreate, they're trying to capture the magic again, but they don't actually know what the magic is.
Exactly. But let's see. Okay. Another big one, but for a different market. Chodenji Moshin Votez 5. That one, I'm sure it did well in Japan, and they just came out with a new Chogokin toy, so it has its man. But the show was what Golion was here. That show. Voltes 5 is that in the Philippines.
Oh.
And I can tell you that because, one, I knew a girl in art school when I was in art school who knew about Voltes 5. Although she was more of a fan of the show that would come the next year, which is part of the Robot Romance trilogy, the third in that show. But another kid was like, it was like, what the first robot show was? It was Voltes, and I wasn't being bad to say you're from the Philippines, aren't you? It's like,
that's funny.
It was like I know the actual history. I wasn't being rude. I was just saying, but I knew that Voltes 5 was such a big thing,
right
there. So
you were being culturally sensitive. I get it.
I wasn't being culturally insensitive.
No, I'm saying you were being culturally sensitive.
Okay.
Open your ears, man.
But it's like, Voltes 5 was the first robot show. No, Go to Guy was making robot shows for about 5 years before that. Everyone jumped on the wagon.
Right.
I got one I want to squeeze in here.
Do it.
All right, you go, and then I have to. All
right. One from 78 that I got to throw in here before I forget about it.
Well, if we're going to 78, let's let VZ finish to 77.
Okay, 2 more things, and then we'll move on. Okay, not talking about all these robot shows, obviously, because we're gonna see a lot of stuff. But one important one, Muteki Chojin Zambat 3, directed by, can you guess who?
Yoshiki Tomino?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
That is kind of his. He did direct before, but I think this is kind of where his signature style was starting out, and basically, the first show where the whole like what Tomino would be known for, which is to kill 'em all. I should watch Zambot 3 one day because it's not very long. It's only 23 episodes.
Which at this time is actually pretty short.
Yeah.
Okay. The other one I have to talk about is something that it was called Koru Daisensu Eisenborg. Koru means dinosaur. But the reason that was important to me is because, well, first off, it was half anime, half like tokusatsu live action. Huh. The people were anime, and the props and the monsters were live action. But the reason why it was important to me was this was released on a tape in the 80s, called Attack of the Super Monsters, which was basically what I said earlier. Yeah.
Right.
1982, the first 4 episodes were released on VHS in the United States in the form of a movie entitled, I think that might be the first anime I've seen.
Huh.
Before I knew what anime was.
Right.
Okay?
Interesting.
So I think that might be it, even before Voltron. Because I've vaguely seen Voltron when I was little, but not enough to, which is why I was able to get into Go Lion much easier.
Right.
Because it's only so much. Same thing with like Macross and Robotech. Because there's a little bit of knowledge, but not.
So I was able to get into Macross because I hate Harmony Gold.
Okay, 78.
78.
Moving on.
Okay, I'm gonna kick it off with Future Boy Conan.
Yeah.
And no, it's not about Conan O'Brien.
No.
Are you okay?
I'm just laughing because there's a show here called The Story of Perrine. So they gave Perrine her own anime.
Her own anime 2 decades, 3 decades before.
Hey,
Yeah.
listen.
Well,
I'll be up for a whole series of just Perrine.
Okay.
I don't know if I can handle that much, bitch. Go ahead.
Anyway, what's interesting about this is this one in particular is Tamino worked on the storyboards.
All right.
And Isao Takahata as well.
Yep.
But this is technically the directorial debut of Miyazaki. This is not him just like doing like animation or something like that, or working on in-betweeners, however you want to think of it, or any of that kind of stuff. He's actually directing it here and making decisions on the actual way the show goes.
I just gotta imagine Tamino and Takahata and Miyazaki are like they'll show up at the studio to start the new anime, like, you again.
Oh yeah.
But there's only 3 people working in the anime industry in the 70s and going a guy.
yeah. That's actually pretty funny. Yeah. This ran for about 26 episodes, and they did make a couple movies that came out later. Like, bam, they made a movie in '84, and the series was revived at the turn of the millennium, and of course there was a game. I don't know if this is actually available right now. I know it's been put out in numerous languages, or at least it was, and it was fairly popular there. And again, it was supposedly pretty popular in the Arab world, interestingly enough. So, again, this is important because it's Miyazaki kind of taking the reins, and you got some people like Takahata and Tamino sort of working together. Yeah, so
I gotta talk about this next one.
And okay, go ahead.
All right, because I told you about this movie, Shiri no Suzu, also known as Ringing Bell.
Okay, yep, I remember this one.
This is the one I said that every millennial has to sit down and watch and absorb its lesson.
That ain't gonna happen.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so it's from Sanrio, which is the one that does Hello Kitty.
Sanrio.
Sanrio, that's what I meant. Sorry. Short. It's only 47 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it did get released here because that's what I watched. I watched the dub. It actually has a good dub because, well, anyway, it was about this lamb, who then this happy lamb, who then this wolf comes with a great synthesized voice, by the way. He comes in and he kills his mother and such. And the lamb was like. Now, the part of the story I don't get is why the lamb wants to be trained by him if he killed his mother or something. I don't know. That part of the story, I was confused. But anyway, he's like, oh, I'm so scared. I want to be strong like you instead of weak like the lambs. And at first, he's reluctant. But then he takes him under his wing and trains it and tells him the world is harsh and, life is pain and all that. And he trains the lamb, and the lamb starts to resemble this evil-looking ram. And then the wolf and the ram go back to where he originally was. And it's okay, now prove your worth. Go and attack, and he can't. But and the ram turns and kills the wolf. But because he's changed so much. The lamb, the other sheep don't recognize him, and so he's exiled out. He can't be with them, and that's the lesson I'm trying to. That's the lesson that the story.
You can get that. You can also get that history lesson by just reading a history book. Just saying. That's
not. You're never gonna get modern day young people to internalize that message. Not unless they're already ready to internalize that message.
Your decisions have consequences, and you're not gonna go back the way you were if you do, the things that.
Uh-huh.
Maybe someone should show Yamakan that movie.
Okay, this next one's interesting because it was actually pointed out. Space Pirate Captain Harlock.
Yes. Leiji Matsumoto.
Again, Mr. Matsumoto.
He's got like 3 character designs and uses them in every show.
Yes. Toei put this out. It was 42 episodes. There was a couple of OVAs that would pop up later.
Did you know that okay, you go first because you're gonna piss out laughing at this one.
Okay. In any case, it's the kind of stuff he does, space operas and whatnot.
Yep.
And again, it ties in with another title that I'm going to bring up very soon here. So if VZ has something to say, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So because of the popularity of, we're fast forwarding a little bit, but because of the popularity of Robotech, they wanted to do the same thing with Captain Harlock by combining Captain Harlock and what was the other show? Queen Millennia, to tell basically like interwoven type story.
Right.
But I don't think it ever got to outside its like pilot or trail, whatever.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. If it, because you referenced Robotech, which means now I'm triggered. So now it's like, you know what? If you're gonna compare it to Robotech, I don't want it to happen.
But the reason this is an interesting title is because its partner series is Galaxy Express 999 or 999, however you want to say it.
39 is how I understand it said.
Yeah, it is, but that always just sounded weird to me. So anyway, again, same kind of deal, including the same type of characters, including some of the same characters.
Yep.
Again, and this ran for a long time. This ran for 113 episodes.
Yeah.
And there's also a couple movies and OVAs and stuff that would come out. And again, even as late as 2004.
Again, these TV series were so long because, again, there was no home video.
Right.
Right.
They could be this long.
Discotheque, I believe, has these. I don't know if they've put them out yet, but I think they do have access to them. They are licensed, and they are streaming actually on Crunchyroll.
Yep.
It looks like Discotheque Media has almost all of them except for the last ones, which I think are still under like US Manga Core and stuff like that.
Wow.
Remember them?
It's the third of the robot romance trilogy. Tosho Daimos, which is the one I said the girl in the class liked more. I've seen like clips and because the openings for these things.
Mm-hmm.
So, the difference between that one, like the other two, Combattler and Voltes, Combattler V and Voltes 5, is both of those were like combining robots, and Deimos is just a transforming truck. So, but it was actually the first robot that would become something used a lot in robot shows later, which is you know the thing like when the pilot moves, the robot moves.
So kind of like what you see in G Gundam.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I was never a fan of that control system.
Yeah, it just seems like there's again, not to get on much of a whole big of a tangent here, but that just seems like the logistics of that are going to cause problems.
Yeah.
Depends if the robot's like if the whole like theme is like very martial arts based, or if the robot is very.
Oh yeah, it made sense the way they used it in G Gundam.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that.
Then another Tomino robot show, Daitarn 3, which is, from what I hear, much lighter hearted than Zambot 3.
As usual, Tamino fare.
Yeah, and the show that will come after.
Yeah, which I think we're gonna end this with that.
Yeah,
I think that'll
be the last thing we discuss.
I think it's been described as James Bond. What if James Bond had a super robot?
Okay, so Iron Man. I don't know.
Well, that's kind of like Big O's description is what if Batman had a super robot?
Yeah, exactly. And the boy, if that ain't spot on. Okay. Are we free for moving into the end of the 70s here?
Yeah, 79.
Okay. I'm gonna start off with kind of a big one here, and again, the Rose of Versailles.
Yes.
This is interesting because this was one of the first really big Yuri, I think, anime. Wasn't it? I mean, it's the first time you really saw a lot of that.
Wouldn't surprise me. I've never seen it myself, but I hear a lot about it.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the art style, you can see that there's a lot of there's a feminine touch to it.
Yeah.
This came out. It's like 40 episodes or so. It ran for about. Oh wait, it also had an OVA and a movie as well. I don't know if anybody has it right now.
Nozomi has it.
Do they? Okay, I wasn't sure about that or not. Oh
The
yeah,
Other Heroes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember seeing like some kind of advert, but I couldn't remember who put it out. Again, this is very. It reminds me of people like Yu Watase who, later on. Their art style or something like that, or even the kind of the original style of Sailor Moon to an extent. That how they kind of look a little bit more slightly angular.
Yeah.
And again, this came out. It's considered shoujo. I don't really recall anybody specific being really big involved in this per se. I'm sure there are, and I'm just not remembering them. And again, there's a lot of Frenchisms here, both with the names, obviously with a name like Versailles.
Yeah.
But like the actual names of the people too. You have madams, and things. Yeah. There's Marie Antoinette.
Right.
Come on. Because it takes place during that. It takes place during the French Revolution and all that good stuff. Now I remember seeing parts of it a long time ago, but where I saw it or when I saw it and the part kind of left me lost because it was one of those things where if you just drop into the middle of it somewhere, you're like, what the hell?
Right.
I can kind of pick up some of the things that are going on, but it's one of those ones that it's on my checkout list, and I've just never gotten around to it yet.
Right.
But I know it's fairly popular. And again, I know the Yuri crowd likes it a lot.
So I think that's so that whenever they sort of satirize old style shoujo with the very very sparkly eyes and the long.
Yeah, exactly. And again, they have sort of that slightly chiseled, angular, chins and things like that.
Right.
And the very pointy noses.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's what was it called? Sailor Moon Crystal?
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a lot. And that, of course, looks more like the manga.
Right.
Which is what I mean. And you can kind of see a direct lineage here to that. And I'm sure it was. I haven't read any of Takeuchi's interviews really about this or anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a direct inspiration. Okay, you got anything else before we finish off? Or is this next one going to be it?
What, are you still on 78?
79.
79 now.
Well, you're missing a very important one there.
If it's Gundam, we're doing that last.
Okay.
Pay attention, dude.
Doraemon starts. Doraemon.
Well, yeah, it comes back rather.
Yeah.
Yeah. And never went away.
Yeah.
Annie
right.
of Green. Yeah, Annie of Green Gables. That's another masterpiece, world masterpiece.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh no, I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Big one.
Yeah. Now we have the birth of the real robot genre.
Yes.
Mobile Suit Gundam, or Kido Senshi Gandamu.
Actually, I do have one, but you go first, and then I'll.
Are you seriously doing that?
Well, no, you go VZ, do your one because Gundam's last.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You know why? Because it's not listed here on this. Because there was another robot show that aired that year called may have heard of it, Daltanius. And the reason that was kind of fun. Okay, that was the show that when they asked the people that worked on Voltron were asked to give us these shows, a bunch of they asked for give us the one with the lion, and they were originally talking. Because the main one of the components was robot lion, but they gave him Go Lion instead. And they liked what they saw, so they kept that.
Huh.
But just think.
So this is what could have been.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Continue. So sorry.
Yeah, I completely fucked up where I was actually going with that. So
Mobile Suit Gundam.
Yeah, I know that.
Real Mobile Suit Gundam. We can see the
Real
birth of the
robot
real
stuff.
robot franchise, as opposed to all the super robot stuff we've been talking about for this entire episode.
Yeah, because I guess they've thought, well, we're gonna try to inject some more realism in it as much as possible.
Yeah.
Well,
in terms of how they actually move around and stuff.
In terms of these things are actually based on some level of physics and not just what looks cool at the time.
yeah, but you have to put into context. So you have to put into context that, especially when I seen the original designs that Tomino originally wanted to use, which was a lot more like real robotish designs, but because this was still the era of the super robot, they designed it more with the super robot aesthetic.
Right.
Which
is why you see the Gundam in like parade colors.
Yeah, that, and also why the what's this ship called?
The white
base?
Not the white base. The thing that combines.
The G Bull and the G Fighter and
yeah. That was there.
That thing was so dumb.
Yeah,
just gonna come right out and say it.
That was there because that have a big deluxe combining thing. Because that was that era, which then Tomino. Well, actually, Tomino didn't direct the movies. Yaz did, but they took that out and put in just the.
We can get to that when we get to the 80s.
Right. Okay.
Stick to the script.
So Mobile Suit Gundam really changed the game, quite frankly.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's still pretty budgeted, but it points out that, hey, it doesn't have to be this sort of monster of the week sort of kind of way of dealing with an antagonist or having some sort of oppressive thing there. And I think that has to do largely with the whole geopolitical shit that was going on at the time. Because you were seeing, Vietnam was pretty much over, and all that good stuff. But right. You still had the Cold War in general as a kind of an overbearing thing. And Russia is a lot closer to them than us. So
yeah.
There's that.
Although you do know that it wasn't as popular when it was during its original run.
I was actually
going to get to that. Yeah, originally it was supposed to run for 50, I think, episodes, and it was canceled, somewhere in the 30s mark, but he basically got time to extend it to finish it up.
Right.
Or something like that. And the first cycle of it, much like Star Trek, didn't take off. It wasn't until reruns and then when the movies came out, then it really kind of caught traction and, sort of a delayed response.
Right.
Also, what I was saying about, that whole having the big toy with the combining aspects. First off, they used an earlier design when Gundam was going to be called Gun Boy, and it was a lot more blockier.
I'm glad they didn't do that.
Same here.
But the thing was, I think it was like a sort of disconnect between because Gundam attracted an older audience at the time, the ones that did like the show.
And that's sort of the other thing we need to kind of address. Some of these shows, more specifically some of Leiji Matsumoto's stuff, did pull in some older people in terms of an audience.
Right. But what ended up happening was, so the Gundam that I'm talking about, the Gundam toy, was done by a company called Clover, which would make toys for a lot of these super robot things, mostly of the Tomino directed. Anyway, that didn't get, but what did get popular were today they're laughable looking, but at the time were very like revolutionary. The model kits.
Yes.
All right. Now these were model kits that you had to not only paint, but you also had to glue. No polycaps also.
No articulation.
No,
very little articulation.
Yeah, a little bit. Certainly nowhere near what very primitive articulation. But again, at the time, and that took off like crazy. Especially like by the time when the compilation movies, which again, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Also a link to the I guess overview of the Clover toy you're talking about in the IRC.
Yes.
But yeah, again, it somewhat represents a bit of a change as far as that goes in terms of
paradigm shift.
I don't know if I'd go that far. Not yet.
I'd go that far.
Especially
because how many robot shows do you see? How many super robot shows do you see after Gundam?
Well, I understand that, but that's not what I mean. What I mean was it didn't take off at first, so I think that's kind of a bad call to call it that.
Yeah, yeah, because by the time there's still going to be a super robot and real robot overlap. In the early 80s. But yeah, anything else?
Actually a fair bit. Okay. By this point though, the 70s draws to a close and you're going to see that whole economic boom really kicking in.
Yep.
About around this time, and a big trade partnership with the United States. I mean, yep. And you're also going to see us farming out animation to Japan.
Yes, indeed.
And we'll definitely be talking a lot about that in the next 2 episodes for sure.
Yes.
So the 70s is interesting in the sense that you can see in the first half of the 70s, you can still see the 60s there. But on the back half of it, you can actually see how it's changing. You can actually physically look at shows along these kind of lists we've been talking about here, and you can kind of see where the changes start to integrate and start to kind of, you see certain things that kind of pop.
Yeah, you can draw through lines between certain shows.
Yeah, and again, the fact that some of these shows actually are sort of in the same universe even makes that more so. Like if you look at Go Nagai, it's like, oh, Devilman, Mazinger Z, Cutie Honey, and then you start seeing stuff like Grendizer and all this, and you start being able to kind of do that. sometimes within the same author even. And so I have to believe that has intentional or not an influence on other people that were in the industry too. Being able to just kind of look at that and go, oh, okay, I'll take this idea and do my thing with it. And again, this is not really it's still a thing. I mean, people still do that. Not probably as frequently. I think the biggest one that's still running right now that's kind of new is the Cowboy Bebop universe, because Outlaw Star and Space Dandy take place in it too. It's as far
Outlaw the Cowboy Bebop universe.
Yeah, because they use the Wulongs and all that.
No, Outlaw Star. I know Outlaw Star at least doesn't take place there.
Huh.
Outlaw Star takes place in the same universe as Angel Links, I believe.
Okay, now what am I thinking of then? I could have sworn they said something else. Like one of those shows does. Shit, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't know about Space Dandy. Space
Anyway,
Dandy, that's a toss up. But I know Outlaw Star and Angel Links is the connection.
Also, you would see the paradigm shift from merchandise being sort of determined by the shows to like basically merchandise as a response to the popular shows to this has to be in the show because we want to sell merchandise.
Yeah, you start seeing the show as a toy commercial paradigm.
Yeah, nothing says that than the G Fighter.
I could have sworn I read. It bothers me. I could have sworn I read that somewhere. Oh well. Well, maybe I got it crossed with something else. I can't.
Well, it would be weird if Cowboy Bebop and Outlaw Star took place in the same universe, because the way they handle like space travel and FTL physics are
the gates and all that
different. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Huh. I wonder where I picked that up. That bothers me. Oh wow. My mistake.
You have to find them and learn them about some Outlaw Star. With the visual gimmick of me putting my fist in my open hand, like I'm about to learn you about some Outlaw Star.
Shit.
But no.
I'm about to beat someone up about not knowing about Outlaw Star.
So yeah, but you'll also see that again, specifically toward the middle and in the end, you're seeing the whole robots thing starting to really germinate.
Yep.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Gona Guy's been making this shit for 5 years. We need to catch up.
Yeah. Although there are going to be
also taking like the concept to like more ridiculous levels.
Oh yeah, that's something you're going to see in the 80s big time.
Also long ass super robot titles.
Yeah. But no, he's right. These ideas and principles actually do exist in the 80s, and they get taken to even bigger extremes too.
Yeah.
With the help of a more robust economy too.
With all that money, you can go even more buck wild than you previously were in these super robot shows.
So yeah, to me, if you're looking at anime on a timeline, I think the 70s is when it starts to get its own identity and more interesting. I mean, yeah, they're doing all these like world masterpiece theater things which is adaptations. Let's just say, of common fables and stories and all that good stuff. But you're starting to see more directors, Miyazaki, Tomino, and some of these other folks, Leiji Matsumoto, and all these writers and directors and stuff starting to kind of really get their own sort of groove going or whatever, for the lack of a better word.
Right. And you start to see a lot of paradigms that you can very clearly see. You can very clearly draw through lines through, like, okay, like when we get into the 80s and we're talking about SDF Macross, all right, that was very clearly inspired somewhat by Gundam, definitely by Space Battleship Yamato, and some other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can start making those connect. The 70s is where you can really start to make those connections as far as various themes getting reused over and over throughout the decades of anime.
Or yeah, exactly. Where you can just go, oh, it's clear they took that idea from here, and
Exactly.
they either just spun it their own direction or made it more outlandish or whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you there's nothing in anime being done right now that you can't do that with on some level. I mean, it depends. I mean, it might not go back as far, but
Right.
it's there somewhere. Insert old saying, "Nothing new under the sun," and all that.
It's a very self-referential medium, which some people have a problem with, but I don't.
And this is especially true in the sense that there's a lot of adaptations.
Yep.
Like, you know, and in some cases they actually do expect you to know certain things that because they're made for people that have played a game or read a light novel or
right. And this is before the production committee business model. So this is before we're seeing shows developed specifically as a commercial for a light novel or video game or a manga.
yeah, exactly.
This is back when the TV broadcast was still a significant part of the show's revenue.
Absolutely. And again, this is prior to homes having really VCRs, laser discs, and all these sort of home entertainment systems.
Yeah, that was all
Right.
like, yeah, and then like back even before that became a ubiquitous thing. It was nerd shit even before that.
I think also, like again, because before the era of home video or even video recording, animation mistakes were probably more permissible.
Oh yeah.
I'm only seeing.
Well, it's only going to play this week. Nobody's going to be rewinding it and checking. You know, they're not going to DVR it or TiVo it. Or
nobody's going to pause it, screenshot it, rewind it, and put it on the internet we don't have.
Yeah, exactly. But it's interesting that how the 70s looks though, if the animation, and you can see it from 70 to 79. You can see it progressively get more impressive too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, some things look really good just because the people behind it were economical with the way they did things. Like Ashita no Joe is a great example of that. Something that's got a lot of movement in it, and yet they still managed to make it work for it in their kind of cutting corner style, as they say. And again, the first Gundam doesn't look particularly great. I mean, in hindsight, I mean, it looks about like you would expect it would.
Yeah, it's a 70s TV anime.
Like, I mean, personally, I think the Leiji Matsumoto stuff and Space Battleship Yamato look a lot better.
Yeah.
But
the characters in Gundam look fun, but sometimes when some of the mobile suits animate,
again, you see a lot of this corrections though coming in the 80s when they move it into film form, and they get rid of some of the goofier elements that are still kind of hanging on.
They still keep the scene of the Gundam running, and it's the head, the shield, and the beam saber, and that's it.
Can't win them all.
No.
That's all I got to say about that.
Nah. So, the 70s, an interesting era in the sense because it's before home video, it's before, and it's also before the economic boom, and yet it's after all the war propaganda. It's after a lot of the techniques and things that came around that let it be what it actually is. So it's kind of trapped in between having money and having more artistic purpose, I guess.
Well, it's really interesting that all this came around in the 70s, because it's before all the boom years and before the advent of VHS. In the 70s, we got a lot of the elements that we would come to really know anime for got solidified in the 70s. So they were solidified in the 70s, and then in the 80s you got to play around with them because you got the the nice economy, and
you got the
got
disposable income and
the advent of the OVA and whatnot. So in the 80s, what we're going to see is people start playing around with stuff that started out in the 70s with more money, with a different format, and you'll be able to see how that evolves.
Well, one more thing, and then I think we'll close this off.
Yes, indeed.
Another paradigm shift you're going to see is, again, a sort of quick boom and then bust, but then another paradigm shift. And what I'm talking about is when we get into the 80s, we're going to see this huge surge of what I'm talking about, robot shows, and not just robot shows, but the tandem of with merchandise.
Yep.
And then an immediate drop off because for whatever reason, like after 83, like 84 onward, you see a bunch of companies either fold into their original, like Popey back into Bandai. You'll see companies like Clover go out. You're gonna see Takatoku Toys go out, which made Macross. So you're gonna see and this one where it's like that it went out. So,
but we'll get to that when we get to those episodes. Which
yes,
we should point out that the 80s, foreshadowing, the 80s will probably be split into two, simply for the fact that there's a shift there with the OVA that makes it kind of important to split that in two.
Yeah. I think we should do TV and movies.
No. It's just going to be time.
Yeah, we're going to split it when the OVA comes out.
Okay.
Yeah, because that makes more sense.
All right. So, yeah, I think we should, split it off from
84 to the end of the thing. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's going to be it. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, or if you hate it, or if you want to yell at us or say we pronounced something wrong or any of that, you can drop us a line.
Yep. And I'm about to tell you how to do that.
And or you could give us a review on iTunes.
Don't worry. I got you. The email address to get involved with the show is ntrradio@gmail.com. The website is ntrradio.net. You can also get our shirt at yashike.moe/store. I actually need to get one of these hoodies because it's getting cold around here.
Get a hoodie. It's cold.
VZ has a book. It's called The Big Book of Idols. It's an Idolmaster art book. You can get it at thebigbookofIdols.com. You can read my stuff at yashike.moe. And you can buy half-naked anime girl figures from my company Shinikiba at shinikiba.moe. The Geeky Panda stuff is really good. You can hit him up at thegeekypanda.net. Also really good are the Bakugaijin Show and Otaku Midnight, so you should listen to those as well.
We should point out that we're going to be at Anime NYC.
K-Gods and I are going to be at Anime NYC.
We'll be there the whole time. We'll be leaving on Sunday, but for the most part, the whole time.
So that happens Friday the 16th of November through
Sunday the 18th.
Yeah,
Sunday the 18th of November.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be busy that time frame.
Well, that's why we said we're going.
Well, that's actually pretty good because remember, if all three of us end up in the same building, whatever cosmic forces really don't want NTR Radio to happen, just need to level the building.
Yeah. Well, there's that. But anyway, if you want to hang out, shoot the shit.
I'll be with my crew, the Geeky Panda, and Mons from Yashike, and K-Gods is coming with us.
You'll be able to spot us because we'll be there with all kinds of gear.
Yeah.
I think are you bringing like GoPro shit or?
Yeah, no, I'm bringing all my camera equipment.
Oh yeah, and I'm bringing a voice recorder, so it's almost guaranteed by the next time we do an episode, there's going to be some interesting footage and audio. Let's just say that.
100%.
So that should be fun. I thought we'd throw that in there. Just, well, it's topical and it's coming up pretty soon. So
yes, indeed. You can find us on iTunes. In addition to believe we're on Google Play, iHeartRadio, and whatnot. So you can find us there. You can also find us on Twitter at Anubis, at VZMK2, at Immortal_KGods, the show on Twitter at NTR Radio. I'm Time Enforcer Anubis.
I'm K-Odds.
And I'm VZ Mark II.
And even though Yamakan gets banned from Twitter every time we say it, this is NTR Radio.